morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever this podcast may find you. I'd like to welcome everyone to another podcast of The Other Side of Life, where exactly the way the title stipulates is that, hey, the most weird, the other side of life that occurs to everyone, happens to everyone daily, but no one gets to discuss it, or is embarrassed or afraid to talk about it. I am your host, the Magnificent E, as I have become to known, and I am here with a very special guest and also co-host, my brother-in-arms, Stan, and this is going to be a very unique podcast, something that people don't really talk about, nor it's not really mainstream media to discuss this topic, and it's something we both have experienced at one time or another, or even together. And this is not one of those podcasts to where it's like, oh my God, it's another paranormal group, or it's another talking about demons or anything. No, that's not what this is about. We hope that from this, my hope is that from this podcast, you know the dangers that are out there that are related to this stuff. There is, especially with the nowadays with the youth, with their experimentation in the what's supernatural with the dark arts. We hope that someone takes from this at least warnings, at least the knowledge of what can happen and what can be done. As I said before, my brother here, Stan, we met in 1995, and immediately there was a bond there. And we started this bond, and because we had the same taste in music and, just activities, but one was paranormal. Everything from ghosts to witches to demons to, just you name it, that's where it was. And it's a strong bond that has lasted today and will continue, I'm sure, for hundreds of years, I'm sure. But, however, there is a few things that kind of need to build up to what the main topic will be about. So, I would like to introduce everyone to my brother Stan, who is also the co-host of The Other Side of Life, one of them. And take it away, my brother.
Where do you want me to start?
Well, let's start.
Since I'm the you're the interviewer and I'm the interviewee, you go ahead, prompt me where you want me to start me at with any number of issues.
Thought we would start talking about the Necronomicon, and the reason being is because I've read the book. I know what's in that book. I know who created it. I know. First, let's do this.
Give some background on the Necronomicon, the publishing.
Yeah, we'll give you a little background.
Wrote how it actually came about, because from what I've read, my assessment of you and whatever about it's easily put together from a number of different sources, supposedly written by the matter of, etc. At the very end of the back book, you actually have the Black Mass in it, which we'll discuss later. So you could actually dedicate yourself. It also gave 50 primary names of 50 demonic force demons that you could call up. He called up supposedly 49 of them. It gives you the rites and the passage and how to do about it. One he did not call up, and that was essentially because it would not carry out its missions. In fact, it would look for any way to actually find a way to actually kill the one who called it up. It was the unholy, the unnameable, was unloyal, no matter what bond they found, the mission you sent it on, it would it just was such a powerful, evil force. It wouldn't even look for a way to try and get and possess you or take you and sway you to the side. It knew you called it up to utilize it. All the others would look for, clearly ways to do your bidding and then look for a way to sway you or however,
Okay.
But powerful book, in my opinion. And I don't care. Yeah, you think, well, it's published, it's out there at Borders, you can buy it, it's not serious. I promise you, it's your intent and whatever you're creating and whatever you're trying to summons, there you will make contact with something. And again, you really don't know what you're contacting, just like all these little ghost hunting things that are out there, and I know everybody loves doing that these days. Grab yourself a recorder, slap yourself a camera. Pretty soon maybe you'll have yourself a TV reality show or whatever. The simple fact is, yes, there's a lot of experiences and a lot of passive experiences. People experience things, then it's not hostile, but the simple fact is I don't care what you think it is. Timmy fell down the well and he died. Odds are it's probably not really Timmy. It may not be hostile to you at this time. Maybe just hanging out, just giving you some, open your mind a little bit more to the supernatural, so eventually maybe you do come in contact with something. Again, I'll leave that up to I don't know, because even in the Bible, Saul had Samuel called up by a witch. And Samuel flat out said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed my rest?" And I'm a Christian and believe in Christ, and I basically don't seek these things out because you really don't know what you're coming in contact with. Maybe you have called up Timmy from the well. But there are other things far more powerful, far more deadly, that don't get played on ghost hunters. They don't shows the things they won't display on the ghost shows that are evil. And at least Discovery Channel's The Most Haunted covered some of that.
Okay.
And why invite something into your house or attach itself to you when you really don't know what it is?
Exactly. Just a little history about it. Like you mentioned before, the Necronomicon, or the Al-Azif, which is Arabic, it was written by Abdul al-Zared, which you mentioned earlier, the mad poet, around, they believe, 700 A.D. He wrote it, apparently, after spending many years visiting ancient ruins, including Babylon and Memphis, and living in the vast emptiness of the desert. Apparently, from what is written in the Necronomicon, and the Necronomicon is broken up into separate books, one of which is how it became to be. And then there's a book of spells, and then there's the Black Mass and the book of rituals, and then they have a book that names all the different deities and what each one does and what each one represents. It was a book that I purchased for informational value. After that, I threw it away, or I think I even gave it away.
No, actually, we burned it that night.
That's right.
We had a whole ritual.
We did burn it. But actually, the mad poet was attacked in broad daylight by a demon, and he was devoured in Damascus around 738 A.D. He found these beings at the top of a mountain when he was wandering the vast emptiness, and noticed weird scriptures or weird writings that were glowing in the moonlight on the ground. Apparently, the reason he went mad, he was not always mad, but he saw these beings that were hovering above the ground, and as he approached them, was instantaneously transported to, I guess, what we would call hell. Saw things and wrote about things that would basically scare men to death. Just had no names. He wrote he could not describe the beast or the hideous things that he had saw, because for men to lay eyes upon them would scare them to death. And it's interesting because you yourself had experience with the Necronomicon. Me personally, I read it, like I said, for informational purposes. I did see the list of demons that were listed in there. each one fully descriptive. What they do, what they were meant, what they're called up to do. There's a, and the Necronomicon itself, it's reprinted and it's sold all over. And I will personally attest to this, that the whole time I was doing research, reading into this, researching, what it meant and everything else, a lot of paranormal things happened in my house that were hard to explain. Coincidence?
Tied to other things that
yes,
were going on.
Yes, coincidence? Maybe not. However, at the time, I had a young family. I had children still have children, but children that were, newly born, and this wasn't a road that I wanted to really go down. As you had mentioned, there is a black mass at the back of the book. But how did you come to know this book?
Well, I have one question. When you were verifying the matter of things, because I know it was in the book and everything. My question is did you research to verify that this was actually how it came, or is this just a reported thing? Is this historical that the Arab and that was in fact real, and that it was from all this has been translated from a script from that?
Oh no, he's real.
Okay, because I know what the book says, and I read the book, and I remember having the book, and I remember studying the book.
There's different
but,
versions.
I also know the title Necronomicon. They threw that on there basically because of H.P. Lovecraft's writings in the book Necronomicon. So they just this is based upon, we'll gather all this and slap that on there, and it'll be the Necronomicon book. And we'll title it the Necronomicon, the Dark Sorcerer's Handbook.
Well, that's one theory. Well,
I think Lovecraft was he also did a lot of writings about the old ones, the old and everything else. And there is some who believe that he was tied in and he knew some things, and he had researched occultism. He utilized, experiences into his stories.
He was
about
obsessed.
The old ones.
He was obsessed with the Mad Arabs with his writings of the Necronomicon.
Okay, and because I know he's most famously known for that as being a horror writer and sort of that, but he's also greatly known for his stories and the writings about love with his life. He has a lot of letters that were fantastic written too. Anyway. Maybe we'll do a thing about H.P. Lovecraft at some time after we do some real major research into him. That'd be a really good, interesting thing, too, because Lovecraft is like the father of horror in some aspects,
So with the Necronomicon, how did you...
Well, we'll go back. I'll just do a story timeline because, that way it's going to be a good thing. Makes the most sense. I want to point out some things. First off, like when you're a kid, and you're open, you're uncorrupted, you haven't been told this isn't real, that isn't real. Think about back to some of the experiences you may have had that you were pretty sure, and you just toss off now as a kid, as an adult, that, it's just my imagination. I think as some people grow older, they close it off and they just toss it off as strictly their imagination. But those who have a spiritual awakening are tied to church, to God, to whatever, they maintain that openness still, that things of possibility, that things are around that we haven't seen. I think that also includes, as adults, you're still why we experience, why so many adults, it's the that you're open to witness and experience these events. Whereas so many who are so closed by narrow, if it's not scientific, I can't, put it right here and make it jump through a hoop for me, then it's not real. Because let's put it this way. There's at least enough evidence gathered by ghost hunters that through MVPs and everything that there's something going on. Regardless, there's still scientists that will deny it no matter what. So I just wanted to say that because as a child, some of the experiences I had as a child that I witnessed, that
and what were
for instance, a little bitty kid, I was maybe, let's say 5. My little brother's like 2. He's only, and you're 5 or 6, and you're laying there in bed, and you're always seeing monsters form out of laundry or stuff like that. And that's fine, but you'd be laying there sometimes, and I'd open my eyes, and there would literally be a face or a head right there at my bedside, looking dead at me. And I jump back, close my eyes, of course, pull the covers overhead, and you peek out and it's gone. Now, there was a face there. There was something, very descriptive face, like, grinning evilly at me. No doubt. When I was 8, we're playing hide and seek. I go into a closet, close the door, hide, and I'm, sitting in there. I hear something rustling behind me. And I turn around, and I look, and there's something sitting there, looks up at me, grinning evilly.
What did it look
I
like?
can't, it's really, I remember the memory as it was like some kind of, I couldn't put it like maybe just a creature. No other way, but it was
black.
It was dark, yeah, because I seen the eyes, they were kind of yellowish white, and then it smiled, and I seen teeth, and I hit the door, and I fell back out because I wasn't staying in there, and looking back, it's just a solid wall. But the one that helps me out, at least with my some of the childhood things, is one night, thankfully, I had 2 adults witness the same thing with me. I was, again, it's like 7 or 8, and we're having a big barbecue, and it's, late, we're going to barbecue late in the evening. It's, like beginning, the end of August, beginning of September, the sun's just setting and everything. So my mom and my friend's mom went off to go pick up some pizza. This is pre-delivery days, and I'm outside with my stepfather and my buddy's dad, and we're all talking. I'm just hanging out. My little brothers are with my mom, along with my friends, and we're looking over at the house next to us, and they have this big bay window there where their dining room is, and they're getting ready to sit down and have a late meal because they were barbecuing or whatever too, And we knew the family, and we heard, the windows are open, and we heard them call, to their older kids, "There's dinner, come on, everything's ready." And the kids come from the back doors, and we could see a back side door that you could go in, and clearly leads to their back hallway and the back bedroom areas. So we know they all come in, and they go, and you see them sitting down. Somebody walks back by a doorway there, and there's a little window you can look out from the door that stops, and they're kind of got a gray face, a grayish, very nondescript, but clearly a tall. Stop, they turn and look out at me, my stepfather, and my friend's father. And then they turn and they walk like they're going towards the dining room. Well, my stepfather, and then we call out, to the neighbors, "Look, you got somebody in the back of your house. We just saw somebody." So they're like, "What?" So they go check. There's nobody there. And they're like, "Sure, there must have been one of the kids that were just running by." And we're like, "Okay." And because my stepfather looks at me and looks at me, he goes, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I saw it. I'm shocked that you saw it, Because he goes, "What did you see?" A head. Looks like a head. Gray and wrinkly, and beyond that, black eyes. Like, okay, yeah. I'm like, hey, again, I'm 7, man. 7, 8 years old. You guys are adults. You tell me what I saw. It's one of those things. If you're not sure, okay, we're all 3 crazy together. But now I'm 7, so I got an excuse. 7 or 8 years old. So. You take that, and then these little things like that, and then you get into your teen years. And I got a Ouija board given to me by my Uncle Michael. Now, my Uncle Michael is very spiritual, and then he was a library wealth full of knowledge and information about the occult and everything else. And he even told me, point blank, you use a Ouija board, you never do it alone. What's a kid gonna do? It's not like I got any buddies to hang out with me. I'm 14 years old. I go to school, but I hang out with people who are much older than me. I hang out with my cousin Mark. He was like 12 years older than me. And that's the people I hang around, a bunch of bikers and things like that, So, I go ahead, and I've always, had this enthusiastic imagination and everything, and that's a lot of other people throw things off to, because if you have an imagination and you're artistic, and if you're like me and you were 7 years old when Star Wars came out and you saw Star Wars, we were going to grow up to be a Jedi Knight, well, that never leaves you. You have a broad imagination. Anything's really possible for you then. So, and I maintain that. And so the occult, and plus I went to a Catholic school when I was very young, and I was an altar boy, and I believed in God. And I, read some of the Bible, and the Bible tells you there's demons, there's these things and everything else. And even if you're a child and you're going to Catholic school and you're younger and you ask the priest, and you ask the nuns this stuff, and they tell you, no, ghosts are not real and everything else, it conflicts with what you're reading in the Bible and the fact that they pray to the Holy Ghost. You just told me ghosts aren't real. I'm conflicted. So obviously adults don't really know what they're talking about, so I'll do on my own reading. I love to read, so I was always reading about all kinds of this stuff. So now I've got a Ouija board, and I've read about this stuff, so hey, you know what? Gonna try it. So I couldn't get anybody to want to play with the Ouija board with me. Every once in a while Michael would, but so I started utilizing it myself.
How often, like when you first started using it, how often were you using it?
Once a couple times a week. That's about it. A couple times a week, and then, it started slowly really building up, and I'd started using it quite a bit. And I'd ask just stupid questions. How many girlfriends am I going to have? Am I going to be, stupid, typical kids, teenager stuff, What's on your mind at that time? Hey, I really like that blonde cheerleader named Mindy. Tell me about Mindy. Oh, yeah, things like that. So, but I go, so are you, asked it, what is it,
So you made contact with the spirit.
Oh, yeah, I made contact with something, I'll put it that way. I used it, of course, began using it more and more often. I got to where I could utilize the thing and lightly just touch that planchette and it would flow. Now, the one thing I have to say, when you use that planchette enough and around, you start feeling like a static electricity build up on your fingertips, but it's like it's drawing away from you. I don't know how to really stipulate. I mean, it's like energy flowing from you into the planchette. You can feel like there's definitely like a magnetic charge or something there. So one time, I was stupid and I was like, well, will you be, I want you to appear before me. And again, you're 14, I want you to appear before me at midnight, of course, this witching hour, and this thing said, yes, I will. Okay. This is September 15th, I'm back at school, all that stuff, still pretty warm out. It was the weekend, so I, hang out with, and I did this, and I was like, appear to me at midnight. So I kind of dozed off and went to sleep. I woke up at like quarter till, midnight. And I woke up because it was slowly starting to get pretty cold. And, I mean, cold in my room.
And it was summertime.
Well, yeah, it's the beginning of September, so.
Okay.
And it started dropping chill, and I felt like I was being watched. I felt like there's something there. Didn't see anything, and we live in a 2-story house at the time. Granted, the house is 100 years old. It's an old house, and I had pretty much most of the upstairs all to myself. So I'm standing there, and I'm just steadily feeling even creepier, and it's steadily getting colder to the point where you can always feel, kind of your hair standing on end, and see your breath a little bit, I mean, it just started getting worse, and I was like, because I just felt like I was really being watched, and my anxiety started ramping up. So I kind of like started to where I grabbed the Bible and just, in the name of Jesus, go away, get out, because I just felt like it, and maybe I'm going to give this up. I may have more than likely creeped myself out, but the one thing I couldn't explain, because I didn't stay in there very long, I went outside. And it was still fairly warm outside. It's, like probably around maybe 80 degrees. And by the time I left up upstairs, I was seeing my breath. It just freaking got cold. And I felt just really bad. So, I bailed out that. I got rid of the Ouija board.
So how did you dispose of it?
Well, I threw that thing in the trash. So, that got rid of it quite well. And, now again, I was around the age 13, 14. I had not even seen The Exorcist yet. It had been out there in 33, but again, I hadn't seen it. We were just starting to have little mom and pop grocery, stores that had VHS and all that stuff. So not that long after that, though, Halloween came around, and I saw The Exorcist, edited for TV version, because the horror-thons I had on back in the day. And while I was watching it, and I saw the Ouija board and everything else, I was like, oh my God, I also spent the duration of that TV version calling my mom. So, what are you doing now? They're all at work every 15 minutes. Oh, I'm at home. The demon ain't here yet. So
I guess. Well, what led you into the book?
Well, I'm getting to that.
Oh,
okay. This is all the point of this point, laying the groundwork for. Because, this is partial groundwork. The supernatural events had already been transferring and happening in my life, one way or another. The Necronomicon, that came around just because of my life in my childhood. I mean, my stepfather, and you know about that nonsense, and my mom, my whole life was one long trauma from, from roughly, birth almost. It seemed like, actually that would be a lie. From maybe about 7 years old on was nothing but just, again, the nonsense, abuse, and everything else. It just was, you lead to darkness. That's why you start probably, you're reading, supernatural events, or fairy tales, and that playing Dungeons and Dragons are trying to, and lead you to, why not, this world. And I'm not blaming Dungeons and Dragons. And anybody who blames, Dungeons and Dragons as, let's get with their nonsense. The guy that created it was a Christian. He's a true Christian. And there's, anyway. You start fantasizing about another world, another life, whatever. I was a creative person. I like all that stuff. So, and, at one point in time, when you read history, people actually believe this stuff. So that led to me reading about the cult and stuff like that. And add that I was a highly hostile, angry individual, So that led to, me just hating the world, hating people, period. And I was filled with hate. And I was hated that I seemed to always be, and again, this is a young man's viewpoint, a young child, a young teen, viewpoint of all teenagers and children at some point in aspect, that life was one big shit brick sandwich, and you were always on the bottom rung being stepped on. So I just ran around buying books, read that stuff anyway, and I come across the Necronomicon book, and I, bought it. And I was roughly 14, going on 15, somewhere around that way. It was maybe another 8 months after, 9 months, almost a year after the, Wicca board, the Ouija board. So I got into it, I started reading it, started getting into it, again, I was angry. There's a lot of stuff going on. I was now at that time living in an apartment with my mom. She had to be around sleeping on the couch in the living room. It's all we could afford. And my mom was working her tail off just to make a living, keeping it over us. Anyway, I was pretty much a rotten little evil bastard. I was, if I could manipulate and utilize people, I didn't care. I just hated people, period, anyway. And this book, I was, reading it, and I was always in that dual conflict, you could say, of, God and dark, and evil and whatever, and why is Christianity the one? Why is, because again, I was for the most part, I went to a Catholic school, and again, I loved being an altar boy when I was a little boy and everything. It's just, a lot of things. So there was that conflict there, as there is with everybody in life. But one thing I wanted more than anything was that I wanted life sucking. I wanted life to stop sucking. I wanted a lot of this shit to stop. And what I wanted, again, like I said, I read that book, started studying a lot more, and thinking about it, and I don't know, I could, in my head, feel, why not? Why don't I deserve the better things in life? Why don't I deserve wealth? Why don't I deserve this? Why am I always, it leads you down that dark road, and then you're full of hate. It just, you can feel, it's just, the little voices in your head, you say, why not? And I got this feeling of I should give myself over to this darkness, to whatever. What's stopping me? Really? If there is a God and there was justice, wouldn't he have stopped a lot of this stuff? Wouldn't he have, whatever, And you're full of hate anyway, and what you want more than anything also is to pay people back. And I was like, I'm not worried so much about wealth. What could get me wealth? What could get me everything? I wanted power. I wanted real power. I wanted to make those who made me suffer far more than I did. I wanted power. I wanted it. And reading a lot of stuff, if this Matter Arab could raise these things and do all these things, and I had that brief experience with the Ouija Board, I knew there was something in that room. I don't care what anybody says. The temperature dropped, whatever. I didn't see it, but I felt something was hanging around there. So I wanted power. And I absolutely was going to utilize the black mass. I was like, what the hell? Like I said, I'm going on for 14. I was probably 15 at this time, Why not? Why not? If I can do this and it'll get me the power to make it happen, whatever I want to happen, do whatever I wanted to do, my will be done. Why not? And that's what it was about. So I was going to do this. I had made it up in my head. I was like, because, clearly, the Christian thing was just another thing like, back in the day when people worship Zeus or whatever, And there's more to, whatever. So, I was going to set about doing this thing. I didn't, and I, I didn't set a date or anything, but I was going to commit myself probably, soon. Something I was planning on definitely doing it. So I was sleeping. I went to bed one night and slept on the couch. I was, my bedroom. And it was more than sleep. That's all I know is I went someplace. God in heaven showed me what all intents and purposes. I can only vouch for me, where I would go, what is going to be, would help. He goes, this is what you're choosing. I was dreaming, and I can only say it's dream because I was asleep. I went to bed, and I went someplace that was just darkness. It was such a blackness, blacker than, there is no description I can ever emphasize, or no color of black on earth, oil, whatever, that I can emphasize just how dark this place was. And it was like living or something. It was just beyond, beyond whatever, describe the impact and what I felt. And I'm like looking around, and it's like, I can't, there's nothing. But I hear things. There's things, something, it's beyond just, I am petrified, I can't even, and I'm like, I'm dreaming, this is a nightmare, I need to wake up. And I couldn't move, and I could not feel, I could feel, but I couldn't like move my arms, I could not move. That was it, can't move, I hear bad things, and I see nothing. It just, and this is a dream. This can't be real. I cannot wake up. I cannot wake up. I'm screaming in my head, wake the fuck up. Wake up. Wake the fuck up. Get the up. Come on. Open your eyes. Wake up. My eyes are open in my dream. It's God, but I cannot. I can't explain it. I really can't. It's something that's just, I can't put it in. It is. This is what is that. And I'm like, holy, I'm screwed. That's all I know is I can't fucking move. I'm not waking up. And believe me, I want to wake up. I can't, and there's something coming. There's things, I hear things, and there's something coming. And I know there is something coming for me. And I can hear other, whatever. It's just, there's sounds you really don't want to hear. And I can't really even remember describing to you. I just know that at that time, I really did not like what I was hearing. And I know there's something coming. And help me. I was like, oh my God in heaven, Jesus. Oh my God in heaven. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God in heaven, Jesus, help me. And I remember thinking that. I remember because I couldn't move my mouth, but I remember thinking this crap. And at that moment when I said that, I bolted. It was like I was catapulted off that couch, standing up, freaking looking around, eyes wide. You think I'd have just dove in a swimming pool, soaked.
Really?
No joke. And I was cold. I was shaking, and I was like, "Hold my!" I grabbed every damn that Necronomicon, everything I had on that was evil, you could say. That, give yourself over. I would give you, because I knew I was going to give myself over to this darkness, because I could hear it in my mind before then, not before this dream, before this event. When I decided to have a black mass, whatever, and I was going to, it's because I could hear, you could say I could feel the presence. I could feel that in my mind that I will give you power. I will give you power like you've never experienced it. You will have everything. Your will be done. And I knew if I did this black mass, I knew that I would get all of that here. There is no doubt in my mind. There is nothing that would have stopped me. As long as I went with whatever, was offering this to me. Called Lucifer, because it didn't give me a name, but I felt the presence, because as I was getting more and more into this book, more and more into the darker aspects of things, more and more into research of this stuff, of occult, the Luciferian worship of whatever, you name it, into this book, that there was something offering me a great deal to come with whatever. That hatred in my heart had grown because of all the other aspects of my life, and I just was going to go, I wanted power, and that I could make my enemies pay.
So now, after you had awoken from the couch.
Well, whatever, all I know is I grabbed that crap, and I destroyed that shit.
Okay.
I rent asunder, and got rid of all of it. Now, because that event, no matter what, to this day, it seems if it's a faded memory, but there's still something. I remember that event that really happened. I went someplace.
Well, of course you did.
Left. Well, but again, talk to people. You had a really deep dream. That again, and that you were never going to be able to absolutely prove to people God exists or He doesn't exist. That's the way the Lord wants it. It's based upon faith. It's based upon fear. And experiences that people have. If you yourself have never experienced anything like that, and your scientific mind or whatever, then you had a dream, you had a nightmare, whatever, it was really intense, blah, blah. And you're never going to convince them of anything else because they themselves have never experienced anything like that. Or if they had experiences like that, they chucked it off to just a bad day and they were watching whatever. I was sent somewhere. And for me, there's no doubt in my mind to me that was hell, or at least what hell would be for me and what I was choosing to go to in the end. And nobody will ever be able to convince me otherwise. I don't care, because I guarantee you this, that put the fear in me of ever going there. And essentially, you could say put the fear of God, but my conveyance was this is what I was choosing, that I didn't have to go there. Because I can't lie, I didn't automatically just become a Jesus Christian. I didn't confirm to be a Christian until I was in the Army. And I was sought out for that. And even then, I did it because I felt it was right to do, and I did it. But I didn't understand it. Okay. Because, when by the time I met you, I was still reading the occult stuff. And I was learning and absorbing more. And when I was going through the Place Academy and all that, I took special classes. I paid special classes to find out about the occult crime, stuff like that, gang unit stuff. And all these things, the Luciferian, so I was aware of it. I was reading about it, but, and I was studying because I knew that this was the enemy, but I still didn't know that, the Golden Dawn and all, why was Crowley a Luciferian? Because I hadn't read all about that and stuff. We were checking in that. And I still didn't know why Christianity was, true, as you take it, who Christ and everything in that sense was. I read some of the Bible and stuff like that, but again, why is that more specific than Buddhism or everything like that? So my research and everything was that I'm not going to touch anything that has anything to do with darkness. I do not, because I knew what waited on the other side of that regardless. And again, I felt that it was all because of still intent and whatever, because I still had, at that time when I was a younger man, I didn't wind up even letting all that hatred go in me until my mid-20s. Okay. But I destroyed it and got rid of that book and all, and I knew that was flat out evil, and that's why when you went to go buy it and all that stuff, I was like, I'm telling you now, I'm not touching, I'm not jacking with it, and if you want to do that stuff, you go right on ahead. We're not going to be doing it around me, and I'm not going to, because that crap, I know where it's going to lead. Yeah. You're free to go ahead and sell yourself up if you want it.
Okay. Now, I guess to our listeners, and there are a lot of young people out there that are deeply involved or getting involved in this. In fact,
it's all repackaged New Age stuff.
Well, with an interview with Father Malachi Martin with Art Bell, and also in his book, The Devil, Malachi Martin's book.
I know. I think I got it in Hostage of the Devil.
Hostage of the Devil. Thank you. He has mentioned that possession on the East Coast itself, demonic possession, is up 600% with occult activity and with just with murders and ritual abuse and sexual ritual abuse and everything. Now, to listeners out there because we're about out of time, that are wanting to get involved in this, from your experience, from the Ouija board all the way up, what would you personally advise them? If you had to do it all over again.
I can't do it if I had to do it all over again. The point is this, because I learned...
What would be your caution?
Well, don't do it. Obviously. But let's face facts. The enemy has penetrated the Christian church. So you can be led astray just as easily in a church, in the organized religion. You can be led astray in a Catholic, Baptist, whatever. Because the people that are up there preaching the Word of God, most of them these days are not believers in it. They're selling a product, is what they look at as. They're up there, and the Holy Bible even bears that out, that the enemy penetrated the Christian movement before there was an organized, a real organized church. that where there were true believers trying to teach other believers, people who were coming to the faith, suddenly there were false teachers within the midst pushing out the beginning leaders of the Christian movement who were trying to teach the young ones. The enemy went right to work against the church right off the bat before the first apostles had all perished and grown old, died, or been, martyred, or you name it. That's why you have a fractured movement. And then you take the Catholics' persecution of the Protestants, and they're burning them, left and right because they're, there was a difference in their beliefs because of the Lutheran Reformation. So no matter what, if the enemy's going to come for you, he's going to test you, he's going to try and sway you to his side. My advice is this: seek the truth and test it. You read the Holy Bible. Why not? You ask and pray to God the Father. If this is true, Lord, please show me that Christ truly is your only begotten Son, who gave of himself because it was your will to save us. Put it to the test, and God the Father will show you his Son. Don't take my word for it. Never take a preacher's word for it. Never take a minister's word for it. Whoever, if your bestest friend goes and becomes part of the New Age movement and the Wiccan and whatever else, you go and seek the truth of the matter yourself. You seek the truth about why they don't think being Christians is cool. Well, you know what? It's probably because the organized Christian church isn't. You go get yourself a Holy Bible, and you truly read it, and you pray as you're reading it. If you're really seeking the truth and you want to make a connection with God, that's what you do. You go ahead and you go right to the source, because Jesus will understand, God understands, he knows you're seeking the truth. And that's what you do. Don't worry about, if I'm not a Catholic, Mormon, Baptist, Lutheran, evangelical, whatever. No. Go buy a Bible, read it, seek the truth on your own. And one way or the other, if you start, you're truly seeking truth, God will take you to him. And that's it. So,
that's very well said. Very well said.
Because point blank, if you go out and you're not a spiritual, if you want to worship evil, well, then go buy the Necronomicon, seek the destruction, seek to harm people. Lucifer's more than happy to open a door for you, and you can call him Osiris if you want. You can call him whatever you want. You can call him Bob the Demon if you want. He's more than happy to welcome you in any shape and form. If and that's what all this New Age repackaged movement is. This whole, now it's Eastern philosophy, Buddhism. Seek your higher self, the perfect you. Seek your perfect you. Empty yourself as a vessel, and the ascended masters will enter you and teach you. Man, you have no idea what's coming up in within you. One thing I know is when the Holy Spirit is within you, you're still you. The Holy Spirit will guide you. You always have a choice with God. You always have a choice with the Holy Spirit. And he only wants, the best for you, and he isn't seeking to destroy you, or manipulate you, or control you, or turn you into, some whatever, because there's a whole different feeling to that than the Ascended Master suddenly turning the screws to you and telling you you're a god, because guess what, folks? We're not gods.
Very well said.
There's only one God, one true living God, one Holy Father who manifested and created everything. And you know what? He gave of himself and sacrificed his only begotten Son to save you. There's the difference. Jesus led the example. He led by example. And he gave himself up to be killed for you. Lucifer wants you to suffer and die, and he's not going to give anything up for you. But you're going to sacrifice everything for him.
Very well said. And with that, we're about out of time. And just wanted to thank Stan for revisiting. I know those aren't awful, sometimes aren't pleasant memories, but just take this as a warning, folks. The occult and mysticism and stuff like that. This New Age movement it's nothing. Any way you package it, it's not right. I mean, it's nothing to take lightly. And for parents that happen to listen to this, observe who your kids are hanging out. Notice their change in behavior. Notice the clothes they wear. Notice, different types of, the different types of symbols and stuff like that. I mean, this is something really to take aware of. And, and there'll be more of this topic covered later in different segments. But I just wanted to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for my brother Stan for joining us. And we hope that you have a blessed day. And we look forward to hearing comments. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.